Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Poem of the Day. Thanks for tuning in. It is Tuesday, May 26th. Yes, May 26th. So, on Sunday, I read a poem to you attributed to Ezra Pound, who translated it from Rihaku's Japanese, and it was The River Merchant's Wife, a letter. That poem was originally composed by the Chinese author Li Po. And Li Po is from the Sichuan province of China. The notes I have on him and what studying I've done for him, this guy liked to just party, but he was like a chill partier. He didn't necessarily drunkenly carouse. He would have his fun and observe the world and write poetry, man. And so that's what that's what that's what he's like attributed to. And when Ezra Pound completed his translation of The River Merchant's Wife, a letter, he kind of opened up a lot of Western poets to Li Po's style, which I think is really, really cool. So this is the same poem that you heard if you turned it on Sunday. So this is the original work, and in this particular case, the translation is not being done, from Li Po to Rihaku into Japanese and then into English by Ezra Pound. The translation is being done by David Hinton, who did a collection of Li Po's poetry in terms of a translation. So this, according to David Hinton's translation, is we've got this interesting sort of Victorian era fragmentation. It reminds me a little bit of like Frankenstein, for example. We've got this translation to this to this to this, and all of a sudden we're like playing a weird game of telephone with translations. This is more direct in that it's just being translated from one language, Chinese, into English, as opposed to Chinese into Japanese and then into English. So where you get a little bit of liberties taken each time it's translated. In any event, this is Li Po's original work, translated by David Hinton, and it's called Changkan Village Song. Forgive my mispronunciations, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. Here we go. Before I start, I happen to think that this version is just like way more beautiful than Pound's translation. I'm an English teacher, not a poetry critic. It's a beautiful poem. Both beautiful poems. I think this one's a little bit more beautiful. Here we go. Changkan Village Song. These bangs not yet reaching my eyes, I played at our gate picking flowers. And you came on your horse of bamboo, circling the well, tossing green plums. We lived together here in Changkan, two little people without suspicions. At 14, when I became your wife, so timid and betrayed, I never smiled. I faced wall and shadow, eyes downcast. 1,000 pleas, I ignored them all. At 15, my scowl began to soften. I wanted us mingled as dust and ash, and you always stood fast here for me. No tower vigils awaiting your return. At 16, you sailed far off to distant Yenyu Rock in Chutang Gorge. Fierce June waters impossible and howling gibbons called out into the heavens. At our gate, where you lingered long, moss buried your tracks one by one. Deep green moss I can't sweep away. And autumns come early. Leaves fall. It's September now. Butterflies appear in the west garden. They fly in pairs, and it hurts. I sit heart-stricken at the bloom of youth in my old face. Before you start back from out beyond all those gorges, send a letter home. I'm not saying I'd go far to meet you. No further than Changfeng Sands. The imagery is it's just so much gentler, if that makes sense, right? It's so much more delicate. there seems to be more of a relationship there as opposed to one that, you know, the Pound translation. I don't think it captures the nuance as well as this one. You could argue that happens anytime something is in translation. I mean, this too is in translation, of course. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool to read the same poem that took two very different paths to come to our attention and to come into our come onto our radar, I guess. So I just wanted to share those poems with you because I think, you know, I think both of them are beautiful. I think both of them are invaluable contributions to our poetic experience. But I like this one a little bit more. So thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Be good to yourselves. Wash your hands. Maintain your distance. Do what you need to do so that we can stay safe. All right? And we will see you again tomorrow for another edition of the Poem of the Day. Take care.